others? Alright, so for number 3, and this is again something that was covered in Algebra 1, so you may remember this, you may not. Domain is your x values. You're looking at furthest left or furthest right. For this, because it has arrows, you have to imagine this is going up and left forever and ever off, and then up and right forever and ever off the page, off your page, off the smartboard. So if it keeps going left towards a negative infinity and it keeps going to the right towards positive infinity, the domain would be all row numbers. So we talked about this when we were doing inequalities, but there are 2 different ways to write it. The interval notation, negative infinity to infinity, or the set builder notation, which is how you would have originally learned it. Like this. Either answer is fine, they both say the same thing. So what this says is x such that x is an element of all row numbers is what that means. But really that it starts at negative infinity and it goes to positive infinity is what that means. Any others we want to see, go over, have questions about? Four. It's like there, but it's not coming up. Interesting. Let's do this. Alright, so this is going back to our solving literal equations. So if we are solving for y, we have to get rid of our ax term, subtract it to the other side. We have by equals c minus ax. And then to get y by itself, we'd have to get rid of b. So divide everything by b. So y equals c minus ax all over b. Because nothing would simplify, we can leave it like that. Other shortcut questions? So before we start inverse, I'm going to give you a little bit more time to practice direct. Make sure you're good with it. So you have 2 options. One is to do the 2 Khan Academy that are due today, if you haven't already. If you've already done that, in your direct variation notes on the last page, I'm going to give you specific examples to work on, and I can come around and check them. But you need to be doing one of these 2 things, Khan Academy or the practice, not other things. So instead of going through and circling them all, I'm just going to write them all down. So you can work on the 2 Khan Academies that are due today. If you haven't already, use this time wisely. I'm going to give you about 20 minutes to do so. Or you can be doing these problems in the last pages, the practice pages where it says homework. So these numbers, 1, 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14. And then in the word problems, 4 and 5. So work on these or work on the Khan Academy that's due today. Do one of those two things, but we shouldn't be on our phones doing other things. And then I'll give you until 9:10, and at that time we'll start inverse. So we are going to start our notes on inverse. So your computers you can put away. Make sure you have your notes in front of you. What you'll notice as we start doing inverse is that it's very similar to direct, but also different at the same time. Okay. So inverse variation where direct has a constant ratio, inverse has a constant product. Where direct, the equation is y equals kx. Inverse, the equation is y equals k over x. When finding the k for direct, it's k equals y over x. For inverse, it's k equals y times x. Just like direct, you can find that from the original if you forget. So if I looked at the original and I was trying to find my k, I would have to get rid of my x by multiplying it to both sides. Whether you write it as x times y or y times x doesn't matter because multiplication is commutative. The k still needs to be constant between all of your ordered pair / table values. So we're going to do a couple of these. Multiply these together, see if you get the same k value. When you multiply them, if they are all the same, that is indeed your k value. And we would write our equation y equals 20 over x. So the biggest thing with these is keeping the equation straight, keeping what to do straight between the two. Questions on number 1? Let's do 3. Same thing, multiply your values together. Someone multiply -5 and 2.4, tell me what you get. I'm assuming it's going to be -12. So since all of these have the same k value, we would write this as y equals -12 over x. Questions on that? We're only going to do one of these graphing examples because you don't need to know how to graph it. You just need to know what the graph looks like. So here, if we're given this example and it says the constant is 16, that means our k value is 16. Think of factors of 16. What times what will give us 16? 2 times 8.
4 times 4.
What else?
16 times
0. Okay. I'm going to rearrange this because also we can flip them because then 8 times 2 and 1 times 16. Make sure I didn't miss it. So we're going to graph all of those points. 2 and 8. These are counting by 2, so be careful with that. 2 and 8. 4 and 4, 16 and 1, 8 and 2, and then 1 and 16. So you'll see it kind of curves. So you would connect them, and it'll look something like this. But when we just listed out all these numbers, we were only focusing on positive numbers. A negative times a negative would also give us a positive, so we're going to find negatives as well. We're really just take these same numbers and make them both negative. And plot those points as well. Negative 1, negative 16. Negative 2, negative 8. Negative 4, negative 4. Negative 8, negative 2. And negative 16, negative 1. So I kind of makes that same curve, but flipped. This graph is an inverse variation. So anytime you are trying to determine is this an inverse or not, if you graph it and it looks like this, it is. Or if you see a graph that looks like this, it is. If you see a line, that's not inverse. Or quadratic, U-shaped, that's not, anything that does not look like this would not be inverse. So really, you just need to know what it looks like. Questions on that? Once you finish writing that down and graphing it, go on to the next page. Dana, make sure you're writing this down. Reopen this to see if it works then. It's like glitching mad hard today. Yes. Okay, we're going to rewrite our two equations from before on here. Y equals k over x, and k equals y times x. The process is really the same. Find your k, put in what's missing, or find your equation, put in what's missing, and then solve. It's just how we actually solve is going to be a little different. So find your k first, multiply those two. Someone do that. Tell me what 12 times 14 is. Okay. So we know our k value is 168. We can write that as our equation. Y equals 168 over x. Then in our second piece, We're given x, we're not given y, so we can put y in for, put x in for the actual x value. Divide that, tell me what you get. -7. And then the check method kind of works the same. You just have to use your k equation for this. So if I multiply -7 and -24, I should get 168. And as long as that check method works and you get the same k value, then that is your answer. Questions on that? Let's do 8. Same thing. Multiply 6 and -10. So your k value is -60. Put that into your equation. Y equals -60 over x. Look at the value you're given and the value you don't know. I didn't do these, but that's okay. I think I meant to do 10, but we'll just go through. So we could put 3 in for x again. So y would be -20. Or multiply -20 and 3, we get -60, so we know that works. Questions on that one? Okay, then let's do a couple with the words. So let's start with 11. Again, find your k value. Multiply 9 and -6. Once you have your k value, put it in your equation. So y equals -54 over x. Now we're looking for x and we have y. So we're going to put 3 in for y. How would we solve for x? Ada.
Multiply both sides by -4.
Doing that won't get x out of the denominator. So we do need to multiply both sides by something, but it won't be -54. What do we do? How would we get x out of the denominator? Say that again. That would change anything or do anything. When you say flip it, what do you mean?
Like flip 5x.
So the only way we could flip it is if we did something to both sides. We could multiply both sides by just x. or the flip version, either or. So if we just multiply by x, then we'd have 3x equals negative 54, and you'd have to divide by 3. What is that? I was like, it's not 14. And then more so when you're solving for x than when you're solving for y, the check process, go back and see, does it work? So if you multiply negative 18 and 3, you get negative 54 to get our k value, so that works. I was thinking about what we wouldn't want to flip the whole thing because then we'd be dividing by 54. We don't want that. So just multiply both sides by x and then divide by whatever the other number is. Questions on that one before we do one more? All right, let's do 14. Same process. Multiply negative 8 and negative 7 together. Find your k value. Put that in your equation. 56 over x. Now we're looking for y when x is negative 4. Divide that, tell me what you get. Negative 14. And then negative 14 times negative 4 is positive 56, so that works. Questions on that? Once you have that all written down, move on to the next page. So the thing you have at the top, when do we use inverse or whatever it says? You're just going to draw opposite ends. So as one thing goes up, the other goes down. So I forget some of the examples that are there. The more people you have helping to do X, Y, and Z, paint, build, put stuff together, the less time it takes. The more force that's applied to something, the less time it takes to break. Stuff like that. So they're opposites. The faster you go, the less time it takes to get there, stuff like that. All right, so let's do a couple of these. Starting with 7. Just like before, whatever comes first is still your y. And it'll say words like varies inversely, inversely proportional. Whatever comes after those words is still x. So either define them or label them in the problem or put them off to the side. I'm, again, still going to do both. And then look at the first two numbers I give you. A train travels between 2 cities in 3 hours. So the 3 hours would be our time at an average speed of 65 miles per hour. So that would be our x. Multiply those two together to find your k. Multiply that, tell me what you get. Here we don't have to put like y per x because it's not linear. It's not going at a constant thing. Like it is, but it's not at the same time. So k is 195. Then we're trying to figure out how long it would take at an average speed of 78 miles per hour. So are we looking for y or for x? Y. Sorry, and I skipped this up. So put your 195 in your equation, 195 over x. We're looking for y. We have our x. Put your x value in and figure out what y is. Divide that and tell me what you get. Okay. And 2.5 what? Hours. And if we were to multiply 2.5 and 78, we should get 195, so that works. Questions on that? Let's do 2 more, and then we'll be done for today. Let's do 8 instead of the 9.5 circle. So, company that produces laptops has determined that the number of laptops it can sell varies inversely to the price of the laptop. So, the number of laptops is our y, price is our x. $2,000 laptops, so that would be our number of, can be sold when the price is $2,500. Use those numbers to find your k, multiply them together. It's going to be some big number because we're in the thousands. What would that be? So that would be our k value. So y equals 5 million over x. And then it's asking how many laptops can be sold if the price of the laptop is 1,000. What are we looking for? X or y? Y again. So 5 million divided by 1,000 would be how many laptops?
5,000.
And if we multiplied 5,000 and 1,000, we'd get 5 million, so that works. Questions on that one? Right, and then the last one, 11. The time it takes to bake a turkey varies inversely with the oven temperature. The time would be our y, oven temperature would be our x. It takes 3 hours to bake a turkey, so that would be our y at 300 degrees. Multiply those together to find our k. And we're looking for our constant of variation, which is our k value. So it is been answered. Looking through all the problems we did not do, are there any questions we want to see, go over, have questions about before I let you practice on your own? So if not, you have the problems we did not do to practice, the practice problems at the back, the Khan Academy quizzes that are due next week. Use this time wisely for the rest of class and practice, and let me know if you need my help or have any questions.